Welcome back to the Auction Car Reconditioning channel. I'm Brian. The Porsche here, the Porsche Cayenne. This is an update video. In an earlier video, we dropped the fluid in the transfer case. The transfer case and the front rear diff are the weak points mechanically in this make and model. This is 2014. It does have 166,000 miles on it. Everything else is working perfectly. We have the paint looking incredible. The inside's clean. I love the vehicle. Very enjoyable. We just want the ride quality to improve because now, or before we dropped the fluid the first time, it sounded like we were in a 4x4 lifted with 33-inch mutters and it was just humming down the street. It's supposed to be perfectly quiet. After the first round of dropping that transfer case slash automatic transmission fluid, it's kind of the consistency, it did get quieter. I had some down in the comment section that said that wouldn't make a difference. As soon as it hits the gears and the oils, that's it. You know, that's the improvement you're going to get. No, I'm sorry, but it did absolutely make a difference. And it's going to make a difference again when we drop it the second time. I've rebuilt, there's a kit from Euro Parts you can get to rebuild these. It's not hard to do. It's not hard to crack these open. These are very light aluminum cased units. It's not like a big heavy four-wheel drive truck. There are plastic chain guides in there. There are chains, there's clutch plates, there's gears, there's bearings, there's all kinds of stuff in there. And having clean fluid makes a difference. It's not going to change the inevitability of me rebuilding this one, which I'm going to do because I'm holding on to this one for a little bit. So let's go for round two. Let's drop the fluid again. Let's see what it looks like. When it went in, the new fluid is kind of a light golden color, and it looked great. Let's see what it looks like after 100 miles, because sometimes it takes a few rounds of flushing it to get it to look, you know, that consistent gold color after a couple miles, and that's what I want. And then we'll move on from there. Yeah, as you can see, we really have the paint dialed in. It looks clean, it looks straight, it looks brand new on the outside. It also looks brand new on the inside. And I love these things because when you're sitting inside, you get the feel of the Porsche. They have kind of the same configure when it comes to buttons and interior components. And you get that real cool clock in the middle there. But being an SUV, the shop manager can hop in there as well and go for a ride. And it also gives you a sporty, fun feeling when you're driving as well. So now the goal is to mechanically get it the way I want it to be. Let me take you down under here, get you familiar once again with the underneath. That is the transfer case. You have the drive shaft that does have a bearing at a support, rear diff, front diff, and then transmission and motor. That's the culprit right there. Let's drop the fluid for a second time and see what it looks like. Okay. First of all, you want to get this one out first. You don't want to drain it until you're sure that the top plug is going to come out. If it doesn't, how the hell are you going to fill it up again? Then you're in trouble. Then you have some problems. So let's get that one out first. Again, this thing's tiny. Tiny in aluminum. Once you get it out, you just take the drive shaft off in the back here, and then up front on this one, and it has a couple support bolts. This thing comes down, you can hold it in one arm, get it out, take off all of these, split it in half, and you can start your rebuild process. 3 times I did it. The first time was unsuccessful, so I had to rebuild it again because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. The second time was flawless, and it's still running. It's a learning curve. But the Cayennes, I've had quite a few. I really enjoy them, and I know them well. I know their weak points. Now we can crack loose the bottom. Drain plug. Get this positioned so we're not draining it onto the floor. And look at that. It's just a little bit darker than when we put it in there. Let's drain all this out, and I'll put it into a clear cup next to the new stuff. Not a whole lot is in there. This line going across is how much is in. It's just under a quart. So not a lot goes in. But what does is very important to this transfer case. Let's let that drain completely. Okay, so we took some out and we put it in a bottle, and I took some of the new stuff, the Porsche Cayenne or whatever the hell it says here, automatic trans diff fluid. Huge difference. So we're going to flush it, put the new stuff in, and maybe even drop it again. All right, first thing is first, we got to get the lower plug back in again. Get it filled. I'll get it filled and then I'll come back and torque it down to spec. You don't want to over tighten this, especially the lower one here. This is just an aluminum casing and can crack if you over tighten. I have a pump here, so let me get everything set up and we can start working this into the transfer case. And I have it marked because you don't put the whole thing in. And you don't keep putting it in until it starts dripping back out. So I'm just going to keep going here until I see that I've reached my mark. Now this thing is up on ramps. Let's get the upper plug in there. All right, I'm gonna get my torque wrench and then we'll back this out, take it for a ride, and start working it in. Working it into the gears, the clutch plates, all the goodies in there. That is a busy transfer case inside there, guys. A lot going on. What about 50? I hear the tires. I hear a little bit of a humming, almost like in stereo, but it's definitely a lot quieter. Definitely a lot quieter than when I brought it home. I'm going to stop by on the way back to the shop at a buddy's, get it up on the lift, and maybe he can pinpoint the sounds as well. So I have the ramps and the quick jacks that'll get this thing a couple feet off the ground. Great for detailing. Great to do some minor maintenance underneath, but you need to get it up onto a post lift to get it high enough so you can get things turning and pinpoint where the sound's coming from. And I could do that on the way back to the shop here, not far from the shop. Stop in at a buddy, get this thing lifted up high enough and pinpoint the noise. It got quieter, but now it sounds a little bit different, so we're gonna see what's going on here. Okay, with the transfer case a little bit happier for the time being, for now, quieted down enough that we could hear an underlying noise, and that happened to, we found that having it up on a post lift where it's high enough where we can get under there and really pinpoint the sounds. So it also needs a front diff as well. Again, the weak points on this: transfer case, front and rear diff. You could rebuild both. I have a rebuild kit coming from Europarts for the transfer case, no big deal. You could rebuild the front diff, but I found one at a local friend has a salvage yard where I could just bolt up another diff. I'm gonna service it. We're gonna put it in. We're gonna pull the old one out. I'm gonna tear the old one down and show you what went wrong with it, and we'll have a little fun. So after these two things are taken care of, this thing will be good for many, many more miles. The rear diff sounds really good right now. I'm going to service that. And then when we're all finished, all three of those underneath, front, rear diff, transfer case will be serviced. The engine and trans has already been serviced, and then we're good to go. Hopefully, fingers crossed, right? So let me show you what the front diff looks like on one of these Porsche Cayennes. So here's a front diff that came out of a Porsche Cayenne. They were both the same in the VW Touareg, the Porsche Cayenne, and the Audi Q5, I believe. This is the driver's side, passenger side, and then the shaft comes back. Support here, support there, support underneath there. Not hard to get out, not really heavy at all either. We're going to service it, so there's a plug underneath, drops the fluid. We'll put the gear lube in there, get that serviced before we get it up in there. This actually came from a 2012, they're all the same, from 2011 to 2014, all-wheel drive, and has half of the mileage that mine has. Mine has 166,000 miles. The donor here came out of an 82,000 mile Porsche Cayenne. And black in color as well, so very similar. To replace the front diff, it's about a 3 to 4 hour job. Drop the plate here. There are some support bolts here, there. You have to take the drive shaft off from the transfer case to the front diff. And there are a few other things that we'll have to disconnect on both sides as well. And we'll get this thing fixed up and ready to go. That's going to do it for this video. When I have 3 or 4 hours, we're going to drop the old one, put the new one in. I'll tear the old one apart for you and show you exactly what went wrong with it. And we'll have some fun. Brian from Apex Auction Car Reconditioning. I'll catch you in the next video.